Coming to the end of our first semester of our postgraduate degree, Mike and I decided that we wanted our project to be simple yet complex, ambitious, and approach it in a way that we had not done previously. This brought us to a film I was first introduced to in the documentary screens module in the second year of my undergraduate degree. John Rouge and Edgar Morin's Chronicle of a Summer, a film based in post-war Paris which opens with a simple question to the public. Are you happy? This was one of the first documentary films to use sync sound, an approach that had not been done before due to technology not being available. A technique which I think lends itself to the film as it helps drive the empathy the viewer had to each character. The simplicity of the question, are you happy, evolves the film into a complex exploration of society, race and class in that era. And throughout the film, the directors get to further know their participants and the trust is formed, which allows for a further in-depth look on the psyche of people. Like this film, we decided to take the new technologies of our time to tell our story. By incorporating both film and social media as our storytelling medium, we provided ourselves with a much larger scale to work with as we were able to ask a similar question to that of Rouge and Morin to a wider and more varied group of participants. So our question had to be similar but unique. We wondered if hopefulness instead of happiness would be more suitable for our situation. However, we wanted the question to be open, similar to that in Chronicle of Summer, as we knew the question along the lines of what are you hopeful for would force the participant to think of an exact example and would presume they had hope to begin with. We also knew that asking the participant, are you hopeful for the end of the pandemic, or a question along those similar lines would then make the film specific to a topic, providing a context for the film instead of holding the meaning of hope in a time of struggle. We soon realised keeping it as simple as are you hopeful gave us an open-ended question, for just in case the participant wanted to expand on their answer. We then decided to test this question to see what type of answers we would receive and how strangers would react to hearing this question. The answers we received were mainly centred around the pandemic. However, some gave us an idea that people would express what they really thought, their opinions and emotions. As a filmmaker, this pre-production experimentation of the question gave me hope for the project. It provided me with the type of answers we would receive and more importantly the type of people who would give us interesting answers. When we began filming for our project, we realised that it slowly evolved from a film focused on hope within communities in a time of strife into an exploration of camera presence and interview techniques. Over the 3 days in which we filmed, we had 3 different interviewers and 3 different camera positions, which made it so our approach was completely different each time. And I believe that the effect this had really shows when comparing the quality of the responses from each filming day. The first day we filmed, I did the interviewing as Mike was on the camera. I was anxious as this was a position that was new to me, and I never really approached strangers with such a thought-provoking question. However, with this in mind, I personally think that some of the interviews we managed to capture on that day are some of our golden moments. From my own personal point of view, I could have been a much better interviewer. I didn't introduce myself, I barely explained what the project was fully about, and I didn't ask the participant about themselves either. This would have made it more of a conversation than an interview, and ultimately it would have led to better results in terms of the answers we were given. It was also on this first day that we didn't really experiment with how we approach participants with a camera. In the traditional shooting method, Mike stood by my side, making it so the person was very much aware about his presence. This led to more than one occasion in which they stared directly at it. For our second day of filming, we used Guion as the interviewer. Guion is a good friend of ours and he brought a much more formal approach to the actual interview process. Also, he knew a lot of the participants as they visited the same church as him. This made them much more comfortable and therefore they answered the question from the heart. Because of their personal association with Guion and the church, their answers were much more religion based, how they're hopeful for the next life but not this one. This day was also interesting because it provided us with one of the answers which kind of shocked us. We asked the participant, are you hopeful? And he just said yes. Then he asked, what do you mean? This kind of showed us that some people weren't even thinking about the question and just using our documentary to reassure themselves that they're actually hopeful for something. It was on this second shooting day in which we changed up how we approach people with the camera. A lot of the shots we gathered on this day are through shop windows, using the interview with a boom mic as distraction from the camera. This worked in our favour, removing the pressure of the camera and making it much easier for the person to open up. On our third filming day, we used Tatiana as our interviewer. She brought an informal but energetic approach to the production. I believe that this put people at ease more so than mine or Guion's, which led to them opening up more when answering the question. Much like our second day, we also changed our camera positioning. The framing being a long shot view appeared to put our participants at ease. Filming from this distance somewhat forced us to make the creative decision to have us appear in our documentary, making it participatory. This is something that we had debated throughout most of our production and something that I personally didn't regret doing. It gave our film a voice and made it so our audience empathised with the film itself more. To help further develop this project, we took to social media and created a website to discuss our findings, present what we recorded, and give those who visit the site a chance to answer the question. We did this to develop the documentary further and expand the scale of the project to more than just Aberystwyth, something that we may have done if not for the travel restrictions due to the pandemic. I believe that the use of social media with this project also says a lot about the era in which the project was created. With social media becoming the language of lockdown and the best way to promote something like our project, it was interesting to see the types of statistics that came from advertisers and those that visited the site. Mike advertised our website on Facebook and got 50 likes, yet only 5 of those visited the site, which itself is a commentary on how people don't really take in what they read and see online.